Hi everyone. Today we're going to do a very important chapter which is critical reasoning. Now this chapter critical reasoning has been divided into two parts and hence we will be studying them in our two different lessons which is critical reasoning 1 and critical reasoning 2. Now when I talk about critical reasoning, what exactly does it mean? So we're going to discuss what critical reasoning is. Then we shall go to the different types of questions that are often tested in this chapter, that is critical reasoning. So there are two types of questions that we'll be doing in critical reasoning. One, that's inference based question and assumption based questions. So going further, critical reasoning questions basically test your ability to comprehend and analyze the reasoning contained in brief paragraphs. So basically these questions test you on how well can you understand things from author's perspective and how well can you relate to the logic employed by the author in the passages. So there are various types of critical reasoning questions, and these exams that we are going to attempt, these competitive exams usually have a lot of such questions, but we're going to study on specific few structured critical reasoning questions. Okay, let's see the format of a critical reasoning question. So this is an example. It says a recent flat screen survey found that only those people who possess a flat screen television are enthusiastic about watching football matches. I'm sorry, excuse me for this. However, it is also known that all those who have a flat screen are enthusiastic about watching cricket. So this somewhere makes a comparison between people being enthusiastic to watch football matches with respect to having flat screen televisions and people who are enthusiastic about watching cricket and having flat screen televisions. Now, what can be validly concluded or inferred from the facts given in the above excerpt, which is the passage? These are my options. Now, when I say that I see a connection between, football and cricket enthusiasts, I cannot in any way say that all the football enthusiasts are cricket enthusiasts, right? Because I don't have the quantity or I don't have anything mentioned in my passage which says it's all. So it will be a generalization, it will be too extreme. There has to be some connection between the cricket and football enthusiasts with respect to the flat screen television. So hence, I can't say none of the football enthusiasts are cricket enthusiasts. Even that would be incorrect, right? When I say people who don't have flat screen, that's my option B. Now there is no relationship or there's absolutely no information about people not having flat screens, right? So even in that context, this does not fit in. So all I can say is A, some of the cricket enthusiasts are football enthusiasts also, right? So that becomes my valid conclusion. Now moving further, what is an argument? Now guys, what basically is an argument when it comes to critical reasoning? So an argument is nothing but an opinion or a point of view which is a conclusion which is based on certain facts or experiences. So every argument which is given to me is a point of view, and that point of view is based on certain facts that the author has come across or certain experiences of the author. So argument can thus be divided into facts, conclusion and assumption. Assumption, they've written that it is unstated because obviously if it is assumption, it is not clearly stated. Questions in critical reasoning are based on this structure of an argument. Okay, so this is the structure of an argument. And whenever you look at questions with respect to critical reasoning, they are based on this structure. Let us see the question types. Now, what are the question types that concern critical reasoning argument? The question types are conclusion or inference. Now, in this case, conclusion and inference are exactly the same. Then we have a weaken or strengthen type of questions. Then we have to identify the underlying assumption. Then we have resolve the paradox type of question. So weaken, strengthen, and resolve the paradox we will be studying in critical reasoning too. Here we will move forward with conclusion, inference, and assumption. But before we move forward to the typical questions, let us see how to deal with critical reasoning. Strategies to critical reasoning. Whenever you come across a question, guys, it's always advisable that you read the question first and then you read the paragraph or the argument. Reading the question first will help you to read the question stem and define your task. It will also help you to read the argument or the paragraph from the point of view of that task. It is very important to read the paragraph from the point of view of that task. Evaluate options strictly from the point of view of the task that is given. Okay. So if I know that my question is asking me to find out an inference, I will evaluate my options on the basis of finding an inference only. I will eliminate the options that do not fit the criteria which is set by the task or the different criterions that are set by the task. I shortlist the options that are likely answers. I look at the options that could be my answers and I shortlist them. I go back to the passage, read the passage to check the relevant details, and then I analyze the shortlisted options better to discover the scoring option. Now moving ahead with inference questions. What's an inference or a conclusion? Most people would say that an inference or conclusion is something that is not clearly stated but is likely to be true. So something that will be probably true. But an inference, on the other hand, is not something that will probably be true, but something that is definitely going to be true no matter what. Okay? So an inference is something that will definitely be true or must be true, something that must be true will be your answer choice. So when you're evaluating critical reasoning questions, you should notice multiple answer choices which are plausible. When I say plausible, which means they're potential answer choices and they can be plausible. Sometimes, you have to go through a whole gamut of choices also. So sometimes you may be stuck between two options and you'll be like, okay, this can be my scoring option. But there may be time when you have to go through all the choices and all the options present in order to find out your answer. You can't just eliminate an option and say that it is incorrect just because it is clearly stated in the passage. That is explicitly stated in the passage. You can't eliminate it just because it is explicitly stated in the passage. Now, while solving things to remember, you always be aware that inference questions will provide the data or facts in the passage. So you read the facts carefully to assimilate the answer. Do not try to predict the answer. So do not in any way try to predict the answer or the inference. Instead, assimilate the facts, take the facts, go to the options, check the option with the passage, and whether the option is completely or conclusively supported or not. Say if the option is not supported, you go to the next one. Right? So this is how you work with options and shortlist some options. And that's how you make your choice by comparing the shortlist. Clear? I hope you're clear till here. Again, the more you remember that an inference is always supported by the given data and the passage, the more you insist on this, that is going to give you the scoring option and that is going to give you the mark. Now, this is an example of a question that is inference based. In a famous experiment by Pavlov, when a dog smelled food, it salivated. Subsequently, a bell was rung whenever food was placed near the dog. After a number of trials, only the bell was rung, whereupon the dog would salivate even though no food was present. So this is a short little argument given to me. Now I will see what is the inference that can be drawn from this argument. Which of the following conclusions or inferences may be drawn from the above experiment? These are my options. Obviously, I can't say dogs are easily fooled. We're not talking About any trick here. We're talking about an experiment. When I say dogs are motivated only by the sound of the bell, may be true partially, but we don't have any, any fact which supports this that only by the sound of a bell. Maybe they may be motivated with other sounds or maybe other smell, right? So we can't go with the second one. The ringing of a bell was associated with food. Yes, because they used to ring the bell whenever there was food. And even though later they did not ring the bell, the dog would salivate, or they did not place the food, the dog would still salivate because he started associating that when the bell is rung, I'm going to get my food. So ringing of bell was associated with food. So hence option number 3. So this is how a conclusion is completely supported by the data in the passage. Now we move on to the next type of question, that's an assumption question. Assumptions are often considered some of the hardest among the critical reasoning topics. Now why so? Why are they considered one of the most difficult types of questions? Because these questions are definitely tricky and it is some information that is not stated in the argument, right? So it is that piece of information which is not clearly stated in the argument, but it also plays such an important role that if you don't have that information, then your assumption is not going to be true, which means your argument will not hold true. So simply put, an assumption is something that the argument takes for granted in reaching its conclusion. An assumption is something that tries to bridge the gap between the premise and the conclusion. A premise is nothing but the data statement. Without the information that is given to me as an assumption, the fact stated in the argument will not be authentic or real. Therefore, when I negate the assumption, which means when I nullify or deny the assumption, then my whole argument or the given conclusion in the argument is made unattainable. Let's see a very simple example. It says all children are excited when they get new toys. Therefore, Tim will be thrilled when he gets his new radio controlled car. Now, my conclusion is therefore Tim will be thrilled when he gets his new radio controlled car, and my premise is all children are excited when they get new toys. So, unless and until I assume that Tim is a child, the conclusion of the argument that Tim will be thrilled will not be true, right? Tim's example gives me two characteristics of assumptions. By this, you can double check your answers and verify your answers to be correct or incorrect. The correct assumption will strengthen the conclusion. So, your correct assumption will always strengthen the conclusion. And if the assumption is negated or nullified, it is going to destroy your conclusion. So, as I said, it can make or break your entire argument and make and break your entire conclusion. However, you have to remember that even though the correct assumption will strengthen the argument, not every answer that strengthens the argument must be assumed. Right? Not everything has to be assumed. An example again. Josh has 20 years of typing experience behind him. Therefore, if you're looking for an efficient typist to enter your data into the new system, you need look no further. What does the speaker assume now? These are my options. Now it says that Josh has 20 years of typing experience, and if you're looking for an efficient typist, then you need not look further, which means you have Josh. So obviously, the speaker is trying to assume that 20 years of practice ensures typing efficiency. And that is why if you're looking at efficient typist and Josh has 20 years of experience, then you should go for Josh. If I negate this, so let us try the denial test. Let me negate it. If I negate it and say 20 years of practice does not ensure typing efficiency, then how can I say you need not look further? Because maybe the criteria that is set, Josh is not meeting that criteria. So hence it is the first one. I don't know the type of typing. They have not mentioned the type of typing, so it is alien. Josh's job profile is best that the new employee is going to get again a prediction out of context. Josh is an outstandingly fast and accurate typist. Okay, extra data, but does not in any way affect my conclusion. So I hope you all are clear, guys. Thank you so much.